Hello, and welcome to the Charity Charms Power of Charms podcast. I am delighted to have Laura Pahulas with me today. She is the executive director and founder of Control Alt Delete. Hello, Laura.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Oh, so exciting. We've been trying to get together here now for about 6 months, and we finally pulled off a date. So it's a good thing. We're both in Arizona. It's a little slow here, so it's a good time to get together. So Laura, you founded Control Alt Delete September 2nd, 2019. So we're coming up on 6 years. It's such an amazing concept and such a needed service in our community. I want you to tell us all about it, why you founded it, and then we'll get into some more questions about challenges that you might have had.
Okay,
So,
great.
how did you come up with it?
Well, when I left my last paying job, I'm a volunteer for Control Alt Delete. When I left my last paying job, I was going to be a stay-at-home grandma, and then my daughter moved to Southern Arizona, so that didn't work out. And I was looking at other jobs, and my husband said, "Why don't you start your own nonprofit? You've run nonprofits, you've done every aspect of a nonprofit. Why don't you start your own?" And so I thought about that and I thought, you know what? There's a lot I've learned over the years from the nonprofits I've worked at of things I want to do, and a lot of things that I saw that I didn't want to do in a nonprofit. So I thought, let me take that knowledge and see what I can do. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, both childhood abuse, and I married an abuser at a young age when I was young and dumb. And um, so domestic violence resonates with me. And every nonprofit that I've ever worked at, and I've worked at a lot of them, domestic violence has it touched every single sector of the nonprofit world, from food insecurity to the unsheltered to children in foster care. And my concept was, if I could help people escape in the immediate time of need, then maybe we can keep them from becoming unsheltered and food insecure and their children winding up in foster care. And that's sort of how the idea came to be. I started looking and I looked around to see if there was any agencies that helped right in that immediate time of need when someone needed to get out of that situation. And other than the police and fire and crisis response people, I didn't see another agency that could step in and help. And so that's how I came up with the idea. And I worked tirelessly. It felt like weeks, but it really wasn't that long, of putting my business plan together, deciding what I was going to do, how we were going to do the work, how I would fundraise, and things like that. And then my old laptop froze. And I got this blue screen on the laptop after all of this work, uh, and got up and walked away from my computer. I didn't have a name for the agency yet at that point. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I just lost all this work. I'm going to have to recreate it. Made myself a cup of coffee, sat back down, pressed Control Alt Delete on the laptop. Didn't even look to see if that worked. Got up. I thought, there's the name. Because sometimes you need to reset your life. And that's what domestic violence survivors need to do. They need to reset their life. The good news is my business plan stayed. I was able to save that. And it was a moment that all of the pieces sort of came together for Control Alt Delete. And almost immediately, I had set up a social media web page for Control Alt Delete. The very next day, we started getting escape requests. I don't even know how advocates found us. It was literally the very next day. Didn't even have donations or
Well,
anything yet.
it was obviously an extreme need. That's amazing. That was one of my questions. How do people find you?
Yeah, it was sort of word of mouth at that point, or just random luck that they found it on a Google search, maybe. I'm not sure. But we help in four key ways, which is where the gap in services was. So a survivor may be ready to leave but doesn't have money for gas in their car. They may need bus tickets to get out of state. They may need, a temporary hotel stay. They may need their locks changed on their home, whatever barrier it is. And that's where we step in. So the advocates reach out to me, and that's can be police, fire, crisis response team, all of the domestic violence agencies in the Phoenix metro area and the state of Arizona. And we have helped in all 50 states come to me for help in that
My
immediate time to get some
gosh, I
help.
did not realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. Arizona's the key. So they're either staying in Arizona to find their safety, they're leaving to another state, sometimes another country to find their safety, or they're coming to Arizona to find their safety. So as of today, in almost 6 years, we've facilitated 48,779 escapes from domestic violence.
Oh, Laura, that is such a, I mean, that's such an amazing accomplishment. And did you ever dream when you started it 6 years ago that you could have that kind of impact?
No, I knew there was a need. I had no idea how great this need was going to be. And um and I'm here doing it because this need is, it is so it's almost pandemic level of need for people to escape their abusers right now. And I'm doing it, and I'm doing it every day, and literally saving lives every day. And that's what we do.
Oh my gosh. And when so okay, so people can contact you, they can contact you through the normal avenues, the police or whatever may contact you. But an individual also could find you directly and contact you.
Almost immediately, we implemented a process, a referral requirement, because we realized right away that when people realize you're helping, they're going to try to get help, and it may not necessarily fall within the scope of our mission, or there's a lot of scammers out there. So we do
Mm.
require a referral. So if someone reaches out to me directly, which happens all the time, every day, we have a response that says, if you're in danger, call 911. We need a direct referral for services from a police, the prosecutor's office, or, a victim advocate. So,
Right,
yeah,
right. Well, that makes sense. Otherwise, yeah, I can imagine the conundrum that could ensue if you don't have some kind of a gatekeeping, you know,
right.
process. And then once someone is referred to you and is able to use your services, do you then refer them out to a domestic shelter as a next step, usually?
No, that's the most interesting thing I found about Control Alt Delete is that almost everybody, and I would say the statistic is probably over 80%, and I'm a numbers person, so statistics are my thing, have a safety support, a network they can go to, and they just don't have a way to get there. So it could be a
Oh,
family member, friends. It could be that they're staying in their home and they just need their locks changed or something like that.
mm,
So that was kind of one of the biggest misconceptions in my own mind too, thinking that they would be all going into the shelter systems. And by doing what Control Alt Delete does, we're actually lessening the burden on our shelter systems because we're getting people to their support network. And there's science that shows the data behind if you can get a survivor to a good support network, there's a far less likelihood of them returning to the abuser. So we're
mm.
setting them up for success, getting them to their safety.
Right. You're enabling them to, what do you say, fish and eat and save themselves somewhat by just providing that key, that gap that is
Yeah,
so difficult for so many people. Wow, I mean, who would have ever imagined, really? And like you said, you knew there was a need, but yeah, I had no idea, and that is really really good information. And I hope anyone listening here will share this with people that they know, so that they know that your service is out there. So starting a nonprofit is a big production. So your husband's like, "Yeah, you should just start your own nonprofit," and you're like, "Mm-hmm." And I know you had a lot a lot of experience, but it's tough. You have to, well, you tell us what's the process. How did you do it?
so I had never started a business or anything like that before, but I'm a research driven person, so I started looking at that, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed when you start looking and think, what do I need to do first? What are the steps to do this? But I'm also a planner. So I made an outline of things that needed to happen. Like I needed to contact the IRS and find out what exactly do I need to do to become a federally designated nonprofit.
Right.
I contacted the state to find out what I needed to do in the state of Arizona to become a nonprofit. And then I sort of went from there. I went, I knew I needed to get a good group of board members. I knew I needed to find a funding structure somehow. Control Alt Delete is not state or federally funded. And with everything that's inside of me, I'm going to try to avoid that at all costs because we can help in ways that other agencies cannot because we are not state or federally funded. So funding, figuring out the funding structure, how that was going to happen, exactly how we were going to help. And that sort of was a gray area. I knew what in my mind I was going to be getting. I used to drive a little Mini Cooper. I was going to be getting in my little Mini Cooper and zooming all over town and literally pulling people out of these toxic situations. Far too dangerous to do that and not realistic.
Best laid plans, but
yeah, hero mentality that just didn't pan out. And I found that with my background in technology, I can do almost every single escape from my computer. I can email out a gas gift card. I can email out a hotel voucher. I can coordinate locks getting changed. I can do almost everything from my computer. And because of that, that's how we're able to facilitate 50 escapes every day on average, is because I can do it within minutes of getting the information. So figuring out the plan of attack, how you're going to implement those services was crucial too, to streamline that and make sure you have the ability to do that. The biggest thing I needed to work on, and I still struggle with sometimes, is compassion fatigue. You get overwhelmed when you're starting a nonprofit and you want to help everybody. And you have people coming to you that the needs don't fall within the scope of our mission, but you're a giver and you want to help, but you can't. So, learning how to say no was a big part of my journey in that. Yeah.
I can imagine that would be very difficult, but extremely necessary.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that you're 6 years into what you're doing, and you've obviously figured out the formula for success, which I commend you on, tell me about, do you have how do you fundraise? Do you have events? Do you have tell me your whole structure there and maybe how people can get involved too.
Yeah. So the really interesting thing is when I set up our Facebook and Instagram pages, and then when we were verified as a federally designated nonprofit, and I could add that donate button on there. That for the first 3 years, it was the peer-to-peer donations from social media that sustained Control Alt Delete.
Oh, wow.
When you think about 1 in 3 people are being abused, 1 in 3 women are being abused today, 1 in 7 men. Domestic violence resonates with everyone, right? Someone is being abused right now. So when they see our posts or when they see stories or whatever, that click to donate was really the driving force to get the agency off the ground. Now, each year we try to do one in-person fundraiser. The pandemic sort of messed that up for a couple of years. Last year we did our 5 years of Saving Lives anniversary event, and we're doing that again this year. It'll be 6 years of Saving Lives, and it'll be in mid-October. It's really a fun event where we have food and a coffee bar and swag bags and raffle items. That's the driving force to raise funds for this. So we ask our community for raffle items, gift baskets, gift certificates, things like that. And at the event, we sell raffle tickets for $1 a piece. So you could win fantastic prizes for $1, right? And so that's our biggest fundraising event of the year. And it really helps us sustain through the busier months of the holiday season. November and December are always the busiest months of the year for escapes.
How many people do you get to your event, and where is it going to be held this year?
It's going to be held in the University of Arizona offices in Scottsdale on Camelback. And it is The max we can have is 150 attend. So we are hopeful to sell 150 event passes. We're going to start selling those in August at $10 a piece. And that includes all the food and the drinks and the photo booths and all the fun things that happen there. And then in October, we'll raise that price up a little bit to about $20 for a ticket to get in there. And yeah, it's going to be October 11th. It's from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. It's a quick, fun event to just go and hang out and have a good time.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Well, we'll have to make sure that everybody knows. I'm sure you'll have event information on your website. You probably
Yes,
already doing. And your website is controlaltdelete.org.
it's DV, like domestic violence,
DV
control alt
control
delete.org. Yes.
delete.org. Okay, we'll put that up at the end too so that people know. So the best way for people to support you at this time is to go on and just make a direct donation onto the site.
That really,
Um,
really is. And that, we can give survivors things like our hygiene items and essentials. But if we can't get them to their safety, those things really don't do any good, right?
right.
So it's the financial support that is getting the survivors to their safety. And an interesting statistic in 2024, the average cost of a control alt delete escape was $16.35. So a little bit of money to save lives is pretty powerful.
That's that's really I'm just blown away that you can do it for that. Well, because you're technologically advanced and you figured it out and you have a big heart and it's compassion in action. It's amazing. Um, so let's talk about how we met. We met basically in 2023. I think, like you said, we touched base before, but you were looking to do a bracelet for Control Alt Delete, and you've got one with you, right, that we can show.
Ew, look at this. Isn't this
Uh,
amazing?
so this was one of my most fun projects, I must tell you, because we don't normally do two colors together.
Yes.
So it was very innovative. And then you have a fantastic logo that really translated into a beautiful charm.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for being a Charity Charms client and working with us. And tell us the impact that the bracelets have had for you. How have you found the ways that you use them?
Well, my initial thought was that we would use them in a fundraising capacity, that if someone made a donation, we would get these out to them as a thank you for that. But just by happenstance, I gave one of these to a survivor that we helped escape. And she broke down in tears and crying and said she would never take this off.
Oh,
It would remind her, it'd be a tangible reminder of everything she had survived. So this is my last one because all of the ones that we ordered have gone directly to the survivors that will have that tangible reminder that they
wow.
survived the worst thing in their life. It's to me that was of far greater value than even the funds that we obviously need. But to have that much of an impact on a
Yeah.
survivor was definitely the driving force to get those in their hands.
I love to hear that, Laura. Um, I think the charms have a lot of impact in a lot of ways that, they can help fundraise, but the organizations that use them for their clients and community, just like you're doing. I mean, to me, it's like if a woman has that on and she looks down, it also it lets her know that somebody cares, somebody helped, and that she's strong enough to persevere and get out of her situation. It's almost like wearing a strength bracelet. Yeah. So I'm so glad that you are able to use them that way.
Yes,
That means the world. Means the world. Charms in action. So
absolutely.
yeah. Well, I thank you so very much for our time together. Is there anything else that we have not discussed that you would like to share with our audience? Any
Um,
specific help you might need other than the donations or?
we will be looking for volunteers to help at our fundraising event. So if anybody wants to help with that, that's great. And we just really hope that we get full capacity at that event, and so everybody here, what we do, very often survivors come. We don't signal them out. We just want them to celebrate their time there. But sometimes they do. They get up and share their story at our events too, and it's very powerful. So try to get to that event. I think everybody will have a great time.
Well, I will certainly be there.
Yay! Thank you.
Yes, yes, see it in action. Okay, so again, we're with Laura Pahulas from Control Alt Delete. The website is dvcontrolaltdelete.org. We'll put all the information, and please spread the word because like you said, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men, which I didn't understand. I think it's all around us, and so many of us don't realize what's happening. So thank you for the amazing service that you're offering to the community and to the entire country.
Oh, thank you.
It's what you've done, Laura, is just unbelievable. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we will stay in touch, and I look forward to seeing you at your event in October.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye now.